Hey guys, welcome to What If Avatar Aang Fell in Love with Toph Beifong? Part 5, The Tale of Aang and Toph. As you heard in the title just now, I used the word tale because I wanted to turn this into a Tales of Ba Sing Se type of video because sometimes it's more fun to move away from the canon and conflict events to create your own version of events where the two main characters are the focus. Also, please do not forget to give this video a like and hit the notification bell to be updated about brand new videos. With that out of the way, let's get right into it. After everything they have been through in the Earth Kingdom, Aang and Toph finally have something neither of them has had much of lately. Absolutely nothing urgent to do. The mission is over, the Earth Kingdom is safe for now, and the rest of their friends have gone their separate ways to handle their own lives. Katara and Sokka have their responsibilities, Zuko has the Fire Nation, and for the first time in a while, Team Avatar isn't really traveling as Team Avatar anymore. Toph has somewhere to go though. Her metal-bending academy is waiting for her, and when she starts heading back, Aang decides to come along. He tells himself he'll stay for a little while before Avatar duties inevitably pull him somewhere else. Toph doesn't complain. In fact, she seems pretty happy about it, although she'd rather eat dirt than actually say that. The trip isn't particularly exciting. There are no armies chasing them, no giant spirits, and no assassins waiting around every corner. It's mostly just Aang, Toph, Appa, Momo, and a lot of open road. And strangely, Aang likes it. Without the rest of their friends around, Aang and Toph start settling into what being together actually feels like. They don't have Sokka making comments whenever they sit too close or Katara immediately noticing whenever something is wrong. Most of the time, it's just them. At one point, they're walking down the road while Appa follows behind them, and Toph casually reaches over and takes Aang's hand. Aang looks down at their hands, and Toph immediately notices the change in his steps and the slight movement of his arm. She asks what he's doing, and Aang says it's nothing. Toph points out that he obviously did something, so Aang grins and tells her he's allowed to look at his girlfriend. Toph smirks and tells him he's lucky to have one. Aang asks if she's always going to be this humble, and Toph tells him yes. Later that night, however, they're lying beside a small fire when Toph suddenly asks if Aang is actually coming to the academy because he wants to. Aang looks over at her, confused by the question, and tells her of course he is. Toph quickly says she was just checking. Aang knows her well enough by now to realize there's more behind the question, but he doesn't force it out of her. Instead, he reaches over and takes her hand. Toph doesn't say anything. She just holds his a little tighter. By the next morning, they're back to arguing about which one of them snores louder, and by the time the academy finally comes into view, things feel completely normal again. When they arrive at the metal-bending academy, Aang gets to see something he's never really experienced before. Toph isn't his earthbending teacher anymore. She's everybody's earthbending teacher. The students are excited that she's back, although that excitement quickly becomes confusion when they realize the Avatar has arrived with her. Suddenly, everyone wants to know why Aang is there. Toph tells them that Twinkle Toes is going to be hanging around for a while. One student asks whether Aang is going to be teaching, and Toph says maybe, if he manages not to screw anything up. Another student asks why the Avatar would randomly come live at a metal-bending academy. Then one of them puts the pieces together and asks if Aang and Toph are together. Aang glances toward Toph, expecting her to answer, but before he can say anything himself, Toph says no. She tells them they're just friends, and Aang decided to come along with her for a while. Aang's expression immediately changes. He forces a small smile and rubs the back of his neck. He's not embarrassed because somebody thought they're dating. That part doesn't bother him at all. He's embarrassed because his girlfriend just denied that he's her boyfriend while he's standing right beside her. The student accepts the answer and goes back to training, and Toph continues talking as though nothing happened. Aang doesn't. For the rest of the afternoon, something about him is different. He still helps around the academy, still talks to the students, and even laughs a couple of times, but whenever Toph talks to him, his answers are shorter. Eventually, he tells her he's going to check on Appa, and hours pass without him coming back. By evening, Toph can tell something is wrong. She doesn't need to see his face to know when he's acting differently. She's known Aang long enough to recognize his footsteps, his breathing, even the way he shifts his weight when something is bothering him. Eventually, she tracks him down outside the academy, sitting against Appa with Momo nearby. Toph approaches and asks what's wrong, but Aang tells her nothing is wrong. Toph tells him not to do that because she knows he's upset. Aang asks why that would matter. Toph doesn't understand at first, so Aang finally asks why she cares whether he's upset when, according to her, he's not her boyfriend anyway. That stops her. Toph immediately realizes what this is about and tries telling him that isn't what she meant. Aang asks what else he was supposed to think. Someone directly asked if they were together, and she told them no. Toph explains that she didn't want everybody at the academy getting into her personal business, and Aang tells her that's fine. She could have said their relationship was private. She could have told the student it wasn't any of his business. Knowing Toph, she could have told him to shut up and get back to bending metal. But she didn't. She denied that they were together. Toph starts getting defensive and says she doesn't understand why he's making such a big deal about one answer, and Aang tells her because it hurt. That quiets her. Aang admits that he felt stupid standing there. He was literally beside his girlfriend while she was telling everyone he wasn't her boyfriend. Toph says she wasn't trying to embarrass him, but Aang tells her she did anyway. Toph goes quiet for a few seconds before finally admitting there's more to it. Her whole life, people have decided who Toph Beifong is before getting to know her. For years, she was the blind girl who supposedly couldn't take care of herself. To her parents, she was their helpless daughter who needed to be protected from everything. Other people knew her because she was a Beifong, and later she became known as one of the greatest earthbenders in the world. Now she's something else. She's the person who discovered metal bending. She's a metal bending master. She has an academy and students who came there specifically because they want to learn something she created. For once, Toph feels like she's building something that's completely hers. And then there's Aang. Toph admits that Aang isn't exactly some random kid. He's the Avatar. Everywhere he goes, people know who he is. People stop what they're doing when he walks into town. Leaders want to meet him, and stories are told about him. Toph admits she doesn't want to become known as the Avatar's girlfriend. She never asked for that title, and she's afraid that once people find out they're dating, suddenly that's going to become another way people define her. Aang goes completely quiet, and Toph feels him stand. Then he gives a short laugh, except there's nothing amused about it. He tells her he's sorry. Toph immediately knows something is wrong with the way he says it, and then Aang tells her he didn't realize their relationship was going to damage her reputation. Toph quickly says that's not what she meant, but Aang tells her that's certainly what it sounds like. Toph argues that he's twisting what she said. Aang says he isn't twisting anything. She just explained that she's afraid of people knowing they're together because of what it might do to the way people see her, and apparently her solution is pretending they're not together whenever somebody asks. Toph says again that she doesn't want to become known only as the Avatar's girlfriend, and Aang's voice gets firmer. He tells her he never asked her to. She's Toph. She's one of the greatest earth-enders he's ever met. She invented metal bending when everyone thought bending metal was impossible, and now she's building an entire school around it. She's Toph Beifong, whether she's dating him or not. Toph tells him that's easy for him to say, and that sets Aang off even more. He tells her no, it isn't. If anybody understands what it's like to have a title swallow their identity, it's him. Everywhere Aang goes, he's the Avatar before he's Aang. People expect him to solve their problems, settle their disputes, know things he doesn't know, and sometimes even decide what he's supposed to think before they've spoken to him. He understands exactly what it's like to want people to see the person underneath a title. But Aang points out that he doesn't pretend Toph isn't his girlfriend because he's worried people might see him differently. He's proud to be with her, and if she isn't comfortable saying the same thing about him, then they have a bigger problem than a couple of students asking questions. Toph immediately insists that she is proud to be with him. Aang asks why she couldn't say it earlier, and Toph doesn't have an answer. Aang finally tells her that he understands wanting her own identity and isn't angry with her for that. But she doesn't get to protect that identity by making him feel like he's something she needs to hide. Toph starts trying to respond, but Aang tells her he doesn't want to keep arguing right now. He needs some space. Then he walks away, and Toph doesn't chase him. For once, she lets him go. The next morning, things between Aang and Toph are still awkward. Aang hasn't suddenly forgotten what happened, and Toph hasn't figured out how to fix it yet, so they both throw themselves into the academy. Aang watches the students practicing metal bending and eventually makes the mistake of saying it doesn't look that difficult. Toph slowly turns her head toward his voice, and Aang immediately regrets speaking. Within minutes, he's standing in front of a piece of metal while Toph has transformed back into the merciless earth-bending teacher he remembers. Aang tries to bend the metal and nothing happens. Toph tells him to do it again. He tries again and still gets nothing. After what feels like forever, Aang complains that he's the Avatar and therefore technically has several other elements he could be practicing. Toph tells him that's a very creative way of saying he can't metal bend, and that does it. Now Aang is determined. The students gather around as he keeps trying, and eventually Toph steps closer and reminds him what she originally taught him about earthbending. He has to stop thinking like an airbender, stop looking for another direction, plant himself, and face the problem. Aang takes a breath and tries again. The metal barely moves, but it moves. Toph feels the vibration immediately, and for a second, she forgets everything that happened between them. She throws her arms around him and excitedly tells him he actually did it. Aang is surprised, but he hugs her back. Then Toph remembers that there are about a dozen students standing around them and quickly releases him. One of the students asks why she's hugging Aang if they're supposedly just friends. Toph freezes, while Aang says absolutely nothing. This time, however, Toph doesn't deny anything. She simply tells the student to worry about his own business and get back to training. Aang notices the difference. He doesn't say anything about it, but the tension between them softens slightly. A couple of days later, Aang realizes Toph has been working practically non-stop since they arrived. Their argument still hasn't been completely resolved, but they're speaking normally again. So one morning Aang tells her they're going somewhere. Toph asks where, and Aang admits he doesn't know. Toph tells him that's a terrible plan, and Aang says that's exactly why she's coming. They head into the nearby town and spend an entire afternoon doing absolutely nothing productive. They eat street food. Toph hustles a couple of older teenagers out of their money during a game, and Aang points out that she could have simply played normally. Toph says she did. Aang tells her intimidation isn't part of the rules, and Toph says it should be. Later, they hear musicians performing in the street. Aang wants to dance, while Toph absolutely does not. He keeps trying until she finally agrees, just to make him stop asking. It goes horribly. Toph steps on his foot. Aang yelps, and Toph immediately announces that the mighty Avatar, master of 4 elements, has finally been defeated by her left foot. Aang tells her she's terrible at this, while Toph reminds him that he's the one who wanted to dance. They're laughing by the time they leave. At one point, Aang reaches for her hand almost out of habit, but then he hesitates. Toph notices the pause and reaches over to find his hand herself. Neither says anything about it, but Toph knows they still need to talk. That evening, Toph eventually finds Aang sitting on the roof of one of the academy buildings. She knows it's him before she gets anywhere near him. She recognizes the rhythm of his breathing and the subtle vibrations of his movements through the building. She climbs onto the roof and sits beside him, and for a while neither says anything. Then Toph admits she screwed up. She explains that she spent so much time thinking about how other people might see her that she never stopped to think about how Aang would feel standing right beside her while she denied their relationship. Aang tells her that's exactly what hurt. He explains that he doesn't need her introducing him to everybody as her boyfriend and doesn't want some big announcement. Their relationship doesn't need to be anybody else's entertainment. But if somebody directly asks whether they're together, he doesn't want his own girlfriend saying no. Toph admits that's fair, and this time she explains what she should have explained the first time. She isn't embarrassed by Aang. She's afraid of disappearing behind him. There's a difference. Aang is the Avatar, and that's always going to attract attention. Toph doesn't want somebody visiting her academy and deciding the most interesting thing about her is the boy she's dating. This time Aang understands what she's actually saying. He tells her that part doesn't bother him. In fact, he agrees with her. Toph should never be reduced to his girlfriend, just like he doesn't want to be reduced to nothing more than the Avatar. But being in a relationship doesn't erase either of them. He's still Aang, and she's still Toph. Toph asks what they're supposed to do when people start asking questions, and eventually they come up with something simple. They don't owe strangers details about their relationship. They don't have to make announcements, and they don't have to answer invasive questions. Toph gets to be Toph Beifong, metal-bending master and owner of her academy, while Aang gets to be Aang instead of constantly being treated like nothing more than the Avatar. But they're not going to lie about being together either. If someone respectfully asks whether they're dating, they can say yes. If somebody starts treating Toph like she's nothing more than the Avatar's girlfriend, she can correct them. Aang points out that she's pretty good at correcting people, and Toph tells him he's finally learning. Then Toph gets quieter and admits there's something else she needs him to understand. She isn't ashamed that he's her boyfriend. Not even a little. Aang asks if she means that, and Toph tells him she wouldn't have climbed onto a roof looking for him if she didn't. Aang smiles. Toph can't see the smile, but she hears the slight change in his breathing and feels his body relax beside her. She reaches over, finds his hand, and intertwines her fingers with his. She asks if they're okay, and Aang tells her they're getting there. Toph accepts that. Then she leans her head against his shoulder. Aang eventually jokes that the next time somebody asks if they're dating, he's letting her answer. Toph asks why she has to do it, and Aang says he wants to hear what she'll say. Toph thinks about it before deciding she'll tell them that unfortunately, yes, she's dating Twinkle Toes. Aang laughs and says he can live with that. Toph squeezes his hand, and the two kiss. This time, neither one of them feels like they have to pretend anything. The next day, Toph has a completely different problem. Two of her students have been competing constantly, and now they're refusing to train together. Toph's solution is simple: let them fight. Aang immediately objects, while Toph argues that she means sparring. Aang points out that the way she said it definitely didn't sound like sparring. Aang tries getting the students to sit down and talk through their disagreement, which accomplishes almost nothing and leaves Toph extremely satisfied. Then Toph makes them spar, which also accomplishes almost nothing, and now Aang is the satisfied one. Eventually, Aang and Toph realize neither approach is working by itself. Aang gets the students to explain why they're angry, while Toph makes them perform an exercise where they can't succeed unless they coordinate their bending. Slowly, it works, and by the end of the afternoon they're training together again. Aang tells Toph they make a pretty good team, while Toph rates them 6 out of 10. Aang kisses her cheek and asks if that gets them to 7. Toph freezes, and so do the students. She tries desperately to maintain her composure before finally giving them a 7. Then one of the students asks if this means Aang and Toph actually are together. Aang says absolutely nothing. Toph knows exactly what he's doing, and she can practically feel his smugness through the ground. For a second, she's tempted to tell the student to mind his own business, but she remembers the conversation on the roof. Instead, she folds her arms and admits that yes, unfortunately, she's dating Twinkle Toes. Aang immediately questions the word unfortunately, and Toph tells him not to push his luck. The students laugh until Toph informs them that anybody who makes another comment is doing 50 squats while holding a chunk of metal over their head. Everyone suddenly becomes very quiet. Aang can't stop smiling. Toph turns her head toward him and tells him she can hear that stupid smile. Aang asks how someone hears a smile, and Toph tells him she'll earthbend him through a wall if he keeps asking questions. Just like that, everything between them feels normal again. Over the next several days, Aang gradually becomes part of the academy. Unfortunately for Toph, so does Appa. The students love him. They feed him, climb on him, and occasionally use him as an excuse to stop training. Toph does not approve. Then one afternoon, a tremendous crash shakes the academy. Toph feels the impact through the ground before anyone can even explain what happened, and immediately knows this has something to do with Appa. From across the academy, everyone hears her yell his name. Aang immediately jumps to Appa's defense, while Toph points out that he doesn't even know what happened yet. Aang says he knows that tone. Eventually, Aang and several students spend the afternoon repairing the part of the training yard Appa accidentally damaged while Toph supervises. Aang accuses her of enjoying this, and Toph doesn't deny it. That evening, Appa settles outside the academy. Aang lies against his side while Toph sits nearby. Eventually, she moves closer, finds Aang beside her, and rests against him. Neither of them says anything about it. Late that night, the academy is finally quiet, and Aang and Toph sit together on the roof. Aang looks up at the stars. Since Toph can't see them, he starts describing the night sky to her, although Toph immediately starts making fun of his descriptions. Aang tells her he's trying, but after a while their conversation becomes quieter. Aang admits that everything feels strange now. For years, there was always somewhere they needed to go and another mission waiting for them. Katara and Sokka were nearby, Zuko eventually became part of their group, and Toph was always there. Now everyone is moving on and building their own lives. Toph has the academy, while Aang still isn't completely sure what his own life is supposed to look like. Aang asks if she ever misses it, and Toph initially thinks he means the war. Aang explains that he means them. Team Avatar. Toph becomes quiet before eventually admitting that sometimes she does. Aang does too. They sit together for another moment before Toph casually asks whether Aang is leaving tomorrow. He says no. She asks about the day after, and again he says no. Then she asks about next week, and Aang finally realizes what she's doing. He tells her that if she wants him to stay, she can just ask. Toph immediately denies that she was asking anything. Aang doesn't argue and simply says okay. They sit quietly until Toph shifts closer and lets her shoulder rest against his. A few seconds pass before she quietly tells him to stay. This time, Aang doesn't tease her. He just tells her okay. Toph rests her head against his shoulder, and Aang takes her hand. For once, Toph doesn't feel the need to make a joke, and Aang doesn't need to say anything either. He simply tells her that he loves her, and without sarcasm or joking, she tells him that she loves him too. There's no battle waiting for them tomorrow. No army, no Fire Lord, and no Earth Kingdom crisis. Tomorrow, Toph is going to wake up and teach metal bending. Aang is probably going to annoy her students, and Appa is hopefully going to avoid destroying anything else. Eventually, Aang will have to leave and continue his duties as the Avatar, and Toph will have to keep building the life she's creating at the Academy. They both know that. But not tomorrow. Tonight, he's just Aang, she's just Toph, and for now, that's enough. And that's it for this What If theory. Similar to part 3, I wanted to do a filler episode, similar to the Tales of Ba Sing Se. Sometimes, I enjoy stepping outside of canon events and conflicts to create a story of its own that strictly focuses on the ships. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the story, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, also comment below any other What If theories you'd like to see next. My social media links are in the description below. I'll see you in the next one. God bless.